What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Tuesday. It's 7 o'clock Central. It's Randy. And yes, I did survive New Orleans. I know you thought that I was dead. The rumors of my demise have been long. I don't know the quote exactly, but I did survive. I think I am still hungover, possibly still drunk. But we're here. Zach is here, and we're here to bring you some Bills talk on a Tuesday.
Honestly, I feel like it's going to be pretty short and sweet tonight. I don't remember much of the game at this point. It seems like decades ago. So definitely talk about kind of what we remember, and I think it's going to be the main things that everybody remembers. But just like real quick, Josh Allen, he threw two interceptions, but felt like he had a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, 2 interceptions but 4 touchdowns, and I'll take 2 interceptions if you're going to throw 4 tutties every day.
And one of them was not on him. His arm was hit as it was going forward. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have tried throwing that, but if he doesn't, it's maybe a strip sack anyway, and then what? So just a bad situation to be in.
And most of that was due to poor offensive line play, which, good news, everybody, this is breaking,
Yay!
sort of.
Yes.
As of Tuesday, if you haven't heard, Spencer Brown back at practice. John Feliciano is practicing. He hasn't been activated yet. They have 21 days, I believe, to activate him.
Star Latulele is coming back.
We're all back, baby.
Except for Trey White.
Oh, man. What a bummer,
Sorry.
dude.
I know I just switched to a negative topic, but that was, Randy, that was all I could think about towards that game. You know, a game that by the second half really felt like the Bills had it in the books. It just felt like the rest of the game didn't matter, and you just wanted to leave the game healthy. And all I could think about was Tre'Davious White. And, man, that's rough.
Yeah, and to have it happen in front of kind of a hometown crowd, I'm sure he had a ton of friends and family at that game. And even the Saints fans, I mean, when he went down, they were not happy. Like they had kind of given up on the game at that point, and they were more angry that Trey White went down than they were about how bad the Saints were playing.
Yeah, and it was a terrible injury, and it kind of makes you question, what do the Bills do to make up for it? Because there's no true answer for trying to replace Trey White ever, let alone in the middle of the offseason or in the middle of the season instead of the offseason. It makes you wonder, one, Josh Allen's got to step it up, and what a perfect time with his offensive line coming back to be able to do so. That's something we definitely need. And a pass rush is also very important. And we saw Ed Oliver have one hell of a game against the Saints. It just seemed like he really just kicked it in overdrive on that game, and having Starr back to stop the run and maybe help him with pass rushing as well could be helpful.
Do you think do you think Ed Oliver puts on a show when he has friends and family at the game? Because to me, I mean, and when he was in Dallas, he put on a show. When he was here, he put on a show.
Yeah, it looks that way, but I don't know if I can say that, because I feel like he's the type of guy that feeds off energy from everything else. And just the way that game was going, it felt like there was a lot of momentum the Bills' way. And the defense kind of, especially after Trey went out, they had a lot to play for at that point. They were like, you know what, we want to play for, they were hoping to play for a shutout. It didn't happen. Which that was just based on bad field possession that the defense got put into. But, you know, it is what it is. We can't get shutouts multiple times in the season. You know, it is what it is. This defense is still great. And I think without Trey White, yes, they're still going to be an elite defense. It's just, how do they find a way to scheme to make it work? And what guys do they have to fit that? Because Dane Jackson has proven to do pretty well. But I just don't know how I feel about Levi Wallace in the CB1 position.
Yeah, I think what I notice with the CB position is in Sean McDermott defenses, he has always had Trey White, right? We haven't seen him without this number one, but at the same time, Sean McDermott plays primarily zone defense. He does not play a lot of man defense, and he has the personnel to hopefully cover for this. Dane Jackson's going to have to step up. Levi Wallace is going to. I mean, our practice squad players are going to have to.
Taron Johnson can step up.
Taron Johnson, yeah.
Cam Lewis is going to have to step up in this situation. And then you've got to look at potentially doing something maybe a little different that you might not expect. And maybe it's playing a little less of that nickel defense and maybe putting out Matt Milano and Klein out there in zone defense from time to time so you can maybe slide Taron Johnson out to help if needed.
Yeah.
You've got options. It's just how does Sean McDermott want to scheme this? And I think the other big thing is that pass rush, because you don't need to cover for quite as long if you can get to the quarterback.
Yeah, this is going to be a really big tell next week on Monday what Sean McDermott has got in the tank as a coach, because this is why you coach guys up, because injuries happen in this league. It really sucks that it was our all-pro cornerback, but I mean, our defense has looked amazing this year, and you'd hope that they can continue to look even average. And then if Josh Allen steps up, I mean, Josh Allen's been playing at the level he played last year. It's just that he hasn't necessarily had the timing that he had last year.
Yeah.
We need our offense to step up. I need to see them fire on all cylinders. Against the Saints, it was awesome. I mean, I loved watching them just kind of march down the field on the Saints. I was honestly bored, not gonna lie, but I was at the game. I ended up buying a ticket last minute for about $80, and I was in the low section of the upper deck. And by the end of the third quarter, like, Saints fans were leaving. There was a really nice Saints fan sitting next to me, and I kind of was talking him up, like, and he told me, the roster was slaughtered. He's like, he didn't expect to win that night because there were 13 starters out.
Yeah, I mean, that was that point in that game where when you're not going against Alvin Kamara, it's like, and then you're with who they had at quarterback as well. It was one of those games where I sit there and go, that's the game that you don't want to lose a key player to an injury, because it's a game that we should have won. But you've got to play him, because what are you going to do? Sit all your starters in the regular season game? That would be the dumbest thing in the world. Injuries are just a risk, and it just so happened to be a bang play. He planted his leg and he kind of kept going in the other direction, and man, it looked bad. Definitely.
It was non-contact, so it's not like even if McDermott had pulled him out, the injury may still have occurred, and heck, it might have occurred during the Patriots games. So in some ways, and I'm not saying this was a good injury at all, but I'm saying the timing is better than if it had happened during a game. The fact that it happened during a game where now we have an extended week to prepare whoever's going to be taking their place.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, and I've watched a little bit of the Patriots this last week, and seeing Mac Jones, he seems to get rid of the ball quick. He's doing exactly what they asked Brady to do, and I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. I'm just saying Belichick is scheming the offense in a similar way with Josh McDaniels to do exactly what Brady did, which is methodically drive down the field, and they still seem to have some big chunk plays as well with their tight end going down the field. You've got to look out for that, and the Patriots are going to be a problem. It's not going to be a cakewalk, and to be quite honest, I hate this phrase that this is a must-win. I hate that phrase, but I think this game is a perfect example of a must-win. I think I saw the percentage of making the playoffs, if we win this game, is like 90-some%. If we lose this game, it drops substantially. This is a game you've just got to win. You've got to show that you are the dominant team in the AFC East. We are still number one in some of the power rankings, even though we got blown out by this Colts team and we lost to the Jaguars. So that goes to show that a lot of people still have faith in the team, even though if you're on Twitter this last couple weeks, you would think all hell.
Oh my God!
Bad.
Overreaction.
Season is over because Trey White got hurt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nate, Jerry. I know we had you on the show and we love you and whatever, but you seem to overreact when you said, "No, I'm looking on to the draft now."
Yeah, and I think
it's easy to think that, but come on, man.
Yeah. the defeatist attitude. I think Bills fans we're used to this defeatist attitude because we've had 25 years of not being successful. But it's something that really has to go. And Twitter is just such a negative place with these injuries that. Yeah. And I'll say even some Chiefs fans. I saw a guy who covers the Chiefs, not really officially, but kind of like us, just podcasts about the Chiefs. I saw him post something about how the Bills are done now that Trey White's done. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. We might as well not play the season. There's no point in playing these last 5 games or whatever because we're done, right? It's just a silly attitude. And I think football is the ultimate team sport, and people forget that. And hopefully we can go out there on Monday and show that. Mondays, it scares me, but here's what doesn't scare me. Sean McDermott playing rookie quarterbacks.
Yes, and let's not forget who we have back behind our cornerbacks and the best safety tandem in the NFL. I mean, let's not overlook Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. And those are the guys that are going to have to step up and help guys like Dane Jackson and Levi Wallace covering because they're inexperienced, and that's okay. But this is where we are going to grow as a team, and it's perfect chance for Dane Jackson and Levi Wallace to get the playing experience that they need, that if something like this ever happened again, they've at least been exposed.
Well, or even to get a contract. Sean McDermott loves his players, and I'm sure he would love for Dane Jackson to play the rest of the season at a crazy level and then get paid. He'll be totally happy for him. I'll be a little disappointed.
He'd have to play pretty well for a couple more years because he's still pretty early on. Only his second year. He's got 2 more years. But
I'm just saying, like, some of these guys, this is their chance to prove it. Because
absolutely.
That position is pretty much locked down by Trey White, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, guys don't even like throwing Trey White's way. Why would you? I sure as hell wouldn't want to throw towards Trey White, and I've got to understand that. But we've got not only those guys, but we've got some great guys on our defensive line to look forward to seeing them play, and we've got some okay linebackers, 2 of them. The other one, he can just go. Edmonds, get out of here. Now I just had to say that.
I wasn't paying too much attention to him on Thursday because I was watching in person. How did you do?
He didn't do bad. I think he had a good game. Wasn't anything overly spectacular, but nothing stood out as like him missing a big play or anything. So at this point, more of this is just a joke. I'm not always being serious with it. There are times where I think he makes mistakes, and I'm sure we could pick a Josh Allen the same way. But another thing I just wanted to talk about, you were at the game, so you had a different perspective. Stephon Diggs. Yep. What a beast, what a master. That route that he ran in the end zone for that catch.
Filthy. Watching that live, there weren't many Saints fans left at that point of the game because I think that was the 4th quarter. But when he made that move, like literally the Saints fans just threw their arms up and were like, "What are you gonna do?" Like what?
Yeah, it's
what
a lot more. It's not like it's a scrub. Like it was arguably one of the top cornerbacks in the league, if not the top cornerback, going against what some may call the best route runner in the NFL. Just a great matchup, and Diggs just burnt him, and it was beautiful. And then there was another play that Diggs made that just stood out. He caught the ball, and it was kind of like, okay, they're going to tackle me. So he kind of slowed down, and then he just bowled the guy over, just hit him real hard. And I'm like, and then he gets up and he kind of laughs, and it was great. I mean, you love seeing that out of him. And even Dawson Knox, he had a game as well.
Dawson Knox, my boy. He's got
Juggernauts, Sex Panther. So anyway, with him, you look at somebody that we were watching to emerge this season, and he had a great start of the year. And then he had that injury, broke his hand, and we're like, okay, what's going to happen? Is he going to be able to come back and play at a great level? And we've seen the last few weeks that he's able to do that. His hand was swollen. It was like double the size of what it should be. And he was still making catches, making plays, and just helping his quarterback out. And that's the big thing that I was so happy. You didn't probably get to see it unless you watched replay, but they had Diggs, Allen, and Knox eating the turkey legs, and Knox takes a huge bite, and then he's like, "Oh, I got my mouth full. I can't talk."
Yeah.
It
No,
was great.
I saw the still shot of it, and I saw Knox retweet it and say something like "took way too big of a bite" before the interview.
And then Diggs eats his, and it's like it was too dry, and he like tries to put it down. It was enjoyable, and I was talking with my dad, who I watched the game with for the of course, for the holiday, and I'm looking, and I say, "Who's going to get the turkey leg? What 3 players is it going to be?" And we were sitting there, and we go, "Okay, Allen, Diggs, Knox," and then if you go defense, I think you would have had to put Ed Oliver in that conversation just because of the game he had. But I don't think you're going to see a defensive lineman get a turkey leg. I think, especially with the amount of points we scored.
What's funny about Knox getting a turkey leg is after the game, as all the Bills fans had made their way down to the lower level, Knox actually runs over and starts, pumping up the Bills fans, trying to get them going. And he doesn't even realize that he's one of the turkey leg players. One of the staffers has to run clear across the field and tap him on the shoulder. And then you just see Knox sprint full bore to get back over with Josh Allen and Diggs.
Yeah, it's just a perfect example of he's not used to being in the spotlight. He was a guy at Ole Miss that was kind of outcast by the wide receivers on that roster. I mean, he had guys like, what was it? DK Metcalf was there with him, and quite a few guys that ended up getting drafted above him as wide receiver, and he just didn't really get to shine in college. And then to be in this position where he's that guy. He's that guy. It's great. I love seeing the emergence of Dawson Knox, and he's arguably, I would say, one of the best tight ends or probably the best Bills tight end since I've started watching Bills football.
And I think so going into Patriots week a little bit here, I think going into this next game, Knox is going to be an important player. The Patriots have Matthew Judon, who is pretty stellar, apparently, except he has one major flaw. He doesn't think that mac and cheese is delicious. And I'm sorry, but he wrong. Wrong. And Dawson Knox is going to bring some of that mac and cheese right
You know who's going to bring that mac and cheese? Deion Dawkins.
Deion Dawkins.
Yeah.
You stir it up. You got to stir it up.
Yes. I agree with you. I think that's going to be the tough part is Judon. And that just reminds me, Patriots fans, did you see how there was quite a few on Twitter who were celebrating the Trey White injury?
Oh, my God. So, yes. I actually was able to check it mid-game, and I saw someone who just like horrible comments on it, and just classless.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Was there a point in our fandom that we celebrated Tom Brady when he messed up his knee? Absolutely. But it was kind of different. It wasn't like, okay, we're gonna beat the crap out of them now. It was just like, okay, their season's done. That's great. Yeah. Now we are actually competing with the Patriots. We are a team that, the Patriots should want to beat when we're the strongest. And going into that game, besides the COVID list, we were a very healthy football team. And losing Trey White obviously changes that. And to come out here and celebrate it openly on Twitter is classless. But you know who is not classless, Randy? Bills Mafia. $27 increments donated to Trey White's charity of choice. That was brilliant.
Yep.
What a great use of Twitter.
I caught up on that pretty quickly after the game, so I went ahead and put a donation in for the Bills backers at Casey. I know a few others have done it as well, but it's what we do when someone's down. You try and send them some love, and so we're going to try and send some love to Trey.
Yeah, I know he can't be doing very well. Football is his life. I mean, he was the first guy into the weight room in the morning, last guy to leave. That's the type of guy that not being to be able to be there for his teammates hurts him a lot. And Bills fans have pissed him off to say the least, a few times this offseason. So it's nice to see them stand up and say, we're with you, Trey. Like, it's okay. And that's where Trey now needs to turn and say, okay, I'm going to be there as a teammate. And I think he is the perfect example of a guy who will do that and be there for those young guys, whether or not, I mean, he's not going to be able to be out there walking with them, but going over game film with them, I mean, it's going to be key.
I was going to say, I think he actually could be, in theory, could be on the sideline. He'd be on crutches, but
Yeah.
I've seen players who've had, and I'm wondering if we'll see him out there. I don't think we will this week, but maybe after a couple weeks of rehabbing. It would not surprise me to see Trey White on the sideline in crutches, just kind of cheering his guys on and maybe giving them some mental, some of what he thinks, some perspective.
Speaking of just guys on the sideline being supportive, your guy, Isaiah McKenzie.
My man.
So what do you think about that situation?
So I think McDermott sends a message. McDermott's message is turnovers are not tolerated. Yeah. Take care of the football. And I love Isaiah, and I love the McKenzie sweep, but I got to be honest, at this point with Breida, we might have to replace that with the Breida sweep. Because he brings a similar gadget skill set to the game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Marquez Stevenson's just so reliable with catching. I never feel like that same fear that I have with.
I mean, he did drop the football and his.
No. Now, I think that was intentional, and I think he was trying to lure the Saints in. I think that was just kidding. But
what did you think about? I mean, we hear that Isaiah McKenzie was a good teammate about it and was there to cheer his guys on. But to social media, which I didn't see it because I wasn't on there, but I heard he had some type of cryptic tweet about like he's out for the season.
I did see the tweet supposedly. It's at least a screenshot. I don't read into that stuff too much. He might have been upset at that moment and thought, I'm never coming back in. We know that social media is inflammatory and that we just post reactionary things on there, and I'm sure the players do too. I'm not going to read into it. I think McKenzie will get another shot, but I do think Stevenson has earned the right to at least get a couple of weeks here of playing time.
It's hard when you've got guys like Breida who deserve to be on this roster, and somebody's got to be sat out for that reason. And when you add a guy like Stevenson back to it, who again is a gadget guy, he's a reliable kick and punt returner that he's got speed just like McKenzie. He's younger, and he's been drafted by the Bills organization. There's a little more reason for Bean and McDermott to want him to be successful and give him a shot. So it's tough. We've seen that happen with John Brown. They patched John Brown up, decided to let him walk just out of the sake of, there's younger guys. There's an older guy in Emmanuel Sanders, but a guy who is successful. But John Brown, it was like they made a perfect decision when they did, because we've seen John Brown jump.
He can't stay healthy.
He can't stay healthy, and we saw it in Buffalo. There towards the end, and when he's healthy, he's a threat. But he was just released again, and it's almost like maybe I don't know if injury is part of that, or also maybe it's guys still viewing him as not being that number one receiver. He came into Buffalo before Diggs was there, and he was our number one receiver. Had his best season, so
he played the perfect intermediate role for us. And I got mad love for John Brown. I've got a John Brown autographed jersey. He's a Pitt State product, which I mean near and dear to my heart. But I know it's not your biggest, not your favorite school.
Hey, it's okay. I've got his signed photo right here up on my wall. So I still love the dude. I mean, he was the epitome of Buffalo, and he cared about the team. He cared about Josh Allen, and I think it legitimately hurt Josh Allen for him to leave. But we're getting a little off topic here. Back to the Patriots. It's a game that we've got to see our team do well. Unfortunately, the Patriots have had a lot of interceptions this year. Josh Allen needs to take care of the football. Yes. Monkey is off the back. He's thrown his first interception in the red zone. We don't have to see that stupid stat anymore.
Oh my God, that stupid stat.
And maybe that'll allow Allen to play a little bit more free with the ball in the red zone. could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But when you got guys like Diggs who can go up for the ball, got to trust them, and Dawson Knox. But they've got great cornerbacks. They've got a great team that it's going to be a pretty good matchup, and it's in Buffalo. As Jordan Poyer said, where else would you rather be on Monday night than Buffalo, New York?
Yeah. And so what I find interesting, and I haven't checked the updates on this. Let me pull it up real quick.
He actually said Orchard Park, New York, but
But the weather, like what do you think as of right now?
It's a little early.
It is a little early, but there's a 50% chance of snow on Monday, and they're talking like serious snow, like kind of like Snowvember.
So what that really comes into play is I obviously can't help but look back at Shady McCoy in that game versus the Colts and how he overpowered that game, and we didn't have a quarterback there late in the game. I believe it was Webb. It wasn't Davis Webb. It was I can't remember his first name, but it was Webb that came in at quarterback, and I can picture him. I think he wore number 7. I believe. I don't know. I'm remembering it now, and I just remember Shady McCoy just taking the ball and just being like, I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to high step in the snow and run all over you. And that's what we need out of our running backs. And we need Star Lotulelei to be able to make tackles at the line of scrimmage, Trey Edmonds to meet guys at the line of scrimmage, and we win this game. Just come out there and be the better team. We are that team. I keep saying that phrase, but you know what?
I'm that guy.
Yes. We are, but we are. We're that team that can go out there, and we deserve to have the AFC East. Everyone, after a couple weeks, everyone's forgetting about it, and they're like, on to New England. Oh, New England's winning the AFC East. It's like they forgot about what happened last season. And you know what?
You know who's not forgetting about it? Vegas.
No, Vegas is still giving Bills the credit there. Yeah. And you know what? I see Patriots fans saying, well, we had guys that opt out because of COVID. So did we. So did everybody in the NFL. Everyone had COVID problems last year. We got screwed in the game because of COVID and end up having games pushed around with the Titans-Chiefs game. COVID affects everybody. And to say that affected you when, honestly, those guys aren't even on your roster this year, half of them aren't, who cares?
Yeah. I'm very excited for Monday. I'm anxious, obviously, but I'm ready for the Bills to – because I think what my fear is the people that go on the 1 year wonder, calling the Bills, a 1 year wonder. Put the Patriots to bed, and then you're no longer going to be having that discussion.
You know what, Randy? We are better when we're an underdog. 100%. This team takes it personal. And I think that's why you saw us go out there against the Saints. Yes, it was a battered Saints team. And I will say I want to see them do it against the Patriots. But take it personal that they're coming out there. We're seeing all these reports that they're picking, all these guys are picking the Patriots to win the AFC East. Prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do.
It's a big game. I'm not going to make predictions now because I'm too nervous all the time on these now.
Bills are going to lose. I'm calling it now because, like I've said, I will pick the Bills to lose every game if it means the Bills win. So that's I'm fair. Sick of going into these games being overconfident. When I do that, and when Randy and I both pick the Bills, we end up looking like morons the following podcast, and we have to eat our words. And honestly, there's been times where I'm like, okay, I am going to retire from being a podcaster because I do not want to do this podcast and admit I was wrong.
Retire. We get paid for this?
Well, not anymore. We did when we had the advertisements that I was adding in there, but at this point, it's not really fair to subjectify our listeners for like the 2 cents that we get for playing the ad to 100 people. It was a waste of time.
Yeah, but no.
Hey, I think I got enough to get like half a beer at Al's if you want one.
Well, there we go. I'll freedom funnel it. For those of you who don't know what a freedom funnel is. I picked this bad boy up.
Beautiful.
In New Orleans. You put the beer in the back, right there, and you funnel it out of the butthole. So,
was there somebody set up selling that or something?
Yeah, they were selling those, and my buddy Christian, who's part of our backer group, picked up 3. He picked up 1 for me, 1 for himself, and 1 for our buddy Ken. So we currently have 3 of them in Kansas City. We will be bringing them to Al's I won't be at Al's on Monday. It's just too much.
It's late
for a
night,
Monday
yeah.
night game. But go Bills, and I'm ready to be on from this game, and hopefully talking about the dub and moving on to a big matchup against the Buccaneers immediately after.
Which is going to be a tough game as well. But at this point, take it one game at a time.
Yep.
We've got a few games left, including the Jets that I'm not going to look past. We tried to do that with the Jaguars and had some issues. I think you need to take every game serious, especially a divisional game that is a big deal for winning the AFC East. So go out here, play this Patriots team well. It's going to be tough with Bill Belichick. He's going to do Bill Belichick things. His son is going to stand out there with his mullet in the snow. I look forward to it. I'm going to be sitting here in my basement. Like you said, I'm not going to go to Al's. It would be way too late of a night. I don't think there's going to be a big crowd up there. But a week later, I'm there. Count me in. If we win, if we lose, I'll probably still be there. But we'll see.
I was going to say, what a fair weather fan. I'll be there regardless next week for the Buccaneers. But as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.